What's up, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Grizzly Tales. Grizzly. Today.
The grisliest show on the internet.
Oh, I forgot. I never introduced this.
I mean, I don't know if that's our tag. But
I think you do say that quite often.
It's good. It's good for the cadence. Welcome to this.
Well,
we got some stories.
I have some
stories.
I have a really, really horrifying story.
Okay.
And it's quite recent too.
I got a story that involves death and involves some sex.
So does mine.
Sexy death.
Mine is not sexy though.
It's not sexy.
This
There's just sex involved.
Yeah.
And Florida's involved. So.
Well, yours is probably about to be quite crazy.
Yep.
Because anything.
It's quite the state.
Yeah. Anything that happens in Florida, I just am never prepared for it.
I don't think anybody is. Even people in Florida be like, damn, Florida man.
Right. As soon as it starts with Florida, that's it.
This one starts with Florida mom.
Oh. So I'm really curious to know what you're gonna bring. So, a Florida mom.
Okay. Well, I'll go first.
I think I'm gonna let you go first.
All right. Let's get into this first grisly tale. I'm just gonna hit you with the headline, and it's one of those headlines that lazy journalists do because they pretty much put the whole story in there, but it still gets the clicks. Okay. And let me tell you, this got the clicks.
Oh.
Listen to this.
I'm trying not to peek over there, but...
Listen to this. Florida mom charged after reportedly leaving son alone with a dead man following a drug-fueled threesome.
What?
Florida. Let's get into it.
Guys.
Let's get into it. A Florida mom named Amy Kemper has been arrested for child neglect after leaving her 11-year-old son alone in a hotel room with the dead man. The disturbing incident took place at the Hammock Beach Resort in Palm Coast, Florida on September 9th, when Kemper had allegedly engaged in a drug-fueled threesome with two other older men.
Whoa. Wait, so the dead guy, he's one of the...
I don't know.
Ooh.
It seems like there was a dead guy at the hotel while she was smashing
getting
two
piped down.
Elderlies. Yeah. Two old people and one young woman.
She's
Crazy.
young?
I mean, it said older, so unless she's slightly younger, I assumed that it was two old bags piping her down, and it smelled like a nursing home.
It probably smelled like
a soup kitchen.
Yeah.
The old soup kitchen.
A little shelter.
So, it is reported that one of the men tragically lost his life following his night with Kemper and the third person involved. This was a hell of a threesome.
It got too active.
Hell of a threesome. I'm not going to make a guess that he died because he was old or because of the threesome itself.
No, there was probably some activity going on.
Some gagging,
maybe some face hitting, maybe some choking.
Before we even go on, what drug do you think it was?
I jump to either meth or heroin.
Meth. I'm going meth. It is reported that one of the men tragically lost his life following this night with Kemper and the third person. According to authorities, the boy was left unattended with the lifeless body for numerous hours.
Oh my God.
Kemper has since admitted to taking drugs and to the threesome, adding that she left her son with the 60-year-old stranger to head out with the second man she'd been sleeping with.
She is just wild.
This was a crazy relationship.
But the thing is, her son is 11. So it's not like...
A baby?
Yeah, so it's not like still a
child.
Bruh. It's a child, but I'm saying at 11, you in middle school, right?
Right. And you're
so
like, damn.
You kind of like...
Mama piping down too? Grandpa and grandpapa?
Not even the pipe down part, but I'm just saying, left in the room with a dead man at the age of 11, I think I would be like,
he dead.
Yeah.
And he's naked. Before they left, however, she said the person who ended up being found dead at the resort was snoring strangely And when she returned, he was unresponsive and had been pronounced dead in the room. So that strange snoring was choking, maybe? Maybe
it's
it was
that
the
gurgle
drugs.
before people
like a
pass
OD?
away. You know that like gurgling sound, like right when somebody's about to die. It's
But
kinda
you
like,
don't think it's the drug that, remember, you know that you have to like lay people on their side so they don't choke on their tongue if they're on drugs and
It could
sleeping?
have been that.
That's what I was thinking. Law enforcement officers later went on to retrieve narcotics and drug paraphernalia. It says the sheriff added, unfortunately, her son was stuck alone in the room with the deceased male for several hours until she came back. She was arrested and charged with child neglect and is currently being held on a $15,000 bond.
She'll be out soon. So just
Smashing again.
So then the other guy that was part of the throuple, he just gets away scot-free and nothing happens to anyone for the death of this man.
Yes, it seems like there was no murder. It was, she was, the leaving alone with the dead body was neglect. But ain't no charges from that? That seems kind of crazy though.
Because when did who called the cops? I wonder who called the cops.
It says they were doing drugs overnight in the hotel room, and the son was in the room overnight. So I guess the son was there during the drugs and the sex.
Because from the looks of her and the sound of this, it doesn't sound like they were in a suite. So there should be
some like a motel
child
thing.
Abuse. If he's sitting in the room while they having a threesome.
Oh, and you don't think he was in his own room?
No, I don't think he was in his own room.
But yeah, you can look at her and you can tell it was a motel.
Yeah, so there should be some, they should have to register as sex offenders.
Probably. This other article says that she did the drugs and had sex with both of them, all while her son was also in the room.
Oh, yeah.
11 is pretty crazy.
Right. Because 11, you don't know what's going on, but you kind of. You know that ain't supposed to be happening.
It's like, damn, both sides, Mom?
Right.
The tag team? That's pretty insane. A woman thought it was okay to bring her child to a resort in the middle of the night so she could engage in narcotic use and sexual activities. That's what the sheriff said. Unfortunately, her son was stuck alone with the deceased male until she came back.
I bet it stunk in there.
Oh, God. Probably smelled so bad. That's so crazy to just be like, all right, I'm going to go and just take these drugs and get this peen. Just play your Game Boy, all right? Like,
maybe she locked him in the bathroom or something.
I don't know. There's a lot of they're not releasing the names of the men. It says a representative for Kemper could not be immediately reached for comment. She's still in embarrassment mode for sure.
Yeah, she should.
Because this happened September 13th of this year.
Oh, that's pretty recent.
Yeah. So.
Well, I hope that the DA files more charges because if it seems like there's should be a little bit more.
Yeah.
A higher penalty. You shouldn't be able to have a threesome with two men in the same room as your son. One dies and you have $15,000 bail and only a child neglect charge.
I mean, just if you were just having sex and doing drugs, that's still pretty crazy.
Right.
Then you add the threesome, you add the dead guy. It just keeps getting crazier and crazier from a baseline crazy story. Bad parenting.
Horrible. All right. You ready for mine?
I'm ready.
Mine's is a little more grisly than that.
I figured I would be a warm-up.
Yeah. All right. Court papers detail horrifying final moments of Massachusetts teacher's life. After failing to find her teenage son on the grounds of Danvers High School, Diana Chisholm called police in the small northeastern Massachusetts town where she lives with her 3 children. The call came in at 6:34 p.m. on October 22nd, one in a long series of contacts of pieces of old-fashioned police work that helped crack a case that shocked the quiet New England town of 26,000. The mother's desperate call was one of the first items in the police affidavit that chillingly chronicled the killing of a popular high school teacher, Colleen Ritzer, 24, allegedly at the hand of a shy student athlete, Philip Chisholm, age 14.
Philip Chisholm?
Mm-hmm. A grand jury on Thursday indicted Chisholm on charges of murder, aggravated rape, an armed robbery in connection with Ritzer's slaying, according to Essex District Attorney Jonathan Blodgett, who said the case involved horrific and unspeakable acts.
This is a student murdering a teacher?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
At 2:54 p.m., Ritzer walks from her classroom, A209, to the second floor restroom. A minute later, a person the officer says is Chisholm appears to follow her into the restroom with a hood over his head and donning gloves. At 3:06 p.m., a female student enters the bathroom and quickly walks out. She later told investigators she saw the back of a person who appeared to be changing clothes. The person's rear was exposed with clothes piled on the floor. A minute later, the person who had followed Ritzer leaves the bathroom. During the next several minutes, he walks in and out of the school building, changes his clothes, puts on a black mask, and drags a recycling barrel into the bathroom. At 3:22 p.m., the person in the ski mask leaves the bathroom, pulling the recycle bin to an elevator and then out of the building towards the student parking lot. At 3:30 p.m., the mother of the student sees Chisholm running away from the school. The student's mother relayed this information to the principal about 6 p.m. that day. Shortly after the email was sent, a math teacher calls the principal to say that Ritzer's parents, Tom and Peggy, told her their daughter was missing. The teacher, concerned that both her colleague and a student were missing, told the principal that Chisholm was in Ritzer's class last that day. The principal told investigators that night she and others went to the school to look for Ritzer's, whose car was still in the parking lot. Tom and Peggy Ritzer were also at the school before going to the police station to report their daughter missing. The exact time is unclear. About 11:20 p.m., the Ritzers report their daughter missing. Police had their cell phone provider ping the location of her phone. The device's last known location was in the area of a local middle school. Meanwhile, in the nearby town of Topsfield at 12:30 a.m. on October 23rd, an officer approached a young man walking on the road at Route 1 North and Salem Road. It was Philip Chisholm, who was reported missing in Danvers. Chisholm was patted down and a knife was found. Later, a search of his backpack turned up a blood-stained box cutter, according to the affidavit. Asked where the blood came from, Chisholm allegedly responded, "The girl."
Whoa.
He was also carrying credit cards and driver's license belonging to Ritzer, as well as a pair of blue-green women's underwear. He first tells police he found the items at a gas station. Later, he says he took them out of Ritzer's car. Chisholm was arrested.
She took the blood out the car, too?
Right. In the early morning hours of October 23rd, Ritzer's body is found during a search of the Danvers High School grounds and an adjacent wooded area. Her body was in a supine position, covered with leaves and debris, in an attempt to conceal it. She was raped with an object and her throat was slit.
Jesus.
The green recycle bin in the surveillance video was 20 yards from the body. Clothing and other belongings were scattered nearby, along with blood-soaked gloves Chisholm was seen wearing in the video. The crime scene officer unfolded a handwritten note left near the body, and it read, "I hate you all." That same morning, police officers interviewed Chisholm's mother in the basement apartment where she had moved her family after recently leaving Tennessee amid a divorce from the young man's father. She said it was a stressful divorce. At 5:36 p.m. on October 23rd, investigators with the Danvers Police and Massachusetts State Police interviewed a ninth grade student who said she was in the same classroom with Ritzer and Chisholm to get extra help in math on the day of the killing. Chisholm was visibly upset after Ritzer mentioned his home state of Tennessee, the student told police. Ritzer noticed and changed the subject. Chisholm continued to be upset, said the student, who described him as talking to himself in the classroom. It was the first hint of a possible motive. So,
always the shy kids. So basically, this kid was seen on videotape following his teacher to multiple places, eventually the bathroom, left the bathroom with the trash thing, trash barrel, took it outside to the woods, was seen running away, and then He was caught with all of her stuff, blood-soaked knife. Said the blood's from the girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he wasn't even really trying to get away with this.
He wasn't trying to get away with this. And that's the thing. It's like he did all of this on camera, and the video shows her going to the restroom, him going to the restroom, the student, a female student going in, coming right out. He comes out of the restroom. So I assume he already killed her.
And so somebody could have seen this.
Somebody could have seen it. The girl that walked in could have seen it, but she was like in and out.
Nothing.
Then he leaves, he changes clothes, comes back, like he goes to the bathroom, like from what I remember, like 3 times, at least 3-4 times.
That same
bathroom, different clothes. Like, he really completely changed. And it was just like, nobody was at school. Not a single person.
Like, I grew up thinking that every place that had cameras had a big fat dude with his legs kicked up and just like a bunch of looking at a bunch of screens. It just don't be like that. Some people just really be setting up cameras for after the fact. Something terrible happens. All right, let's check these cameras we haven't dusted off in 20 years. Like, I always thought that somebody was surveying. That's why it was called surveillance. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy that all this can happen. And he literally went front like to back, and nobody was just like, something weird is happening. It was all after the fact.
Right. And for me, it's like, now he's 14 years old. So
it's crazy.
The penalty for this
isn't going to be
isn't
as much as it should.
Right. Unless they charge him as an adult, which they could, but a 14-year-old.
What state?
Massachusetts.
It's Massachusetts.
So they may.
That's crazy.
They may charge him as adult, and I think that they should, because he really was like...
That was very meditated.
Meditated? Premeditated?
No, it was meditated. It was pre, post, and meditated.
Oh, my God.
It seemed very, very planned and thought out, even though it wasn't very clean.
I feel like something triggered him, though. And it was almost like this situation must have been like... It was his breaking point, because, him to write a note, to do all that, and just, he was trying to cause a horror scene, which he did.
Yep.
The fact that he slit her throat and he raped her with an object, to me, is like, insane. Wow, you really like lost it. That was rage.
I'm willing to bet that the teacher was nice to him too. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, I'm gonna get that teacher who's always mean to me. It was probably just like, totally out of character. I mean, they said that he was talking to himself and he was kind of like the weird kid, but I still don't think that people being weird or having like weird moments or shy automatically puts it in the mind of everybody around you, like, oh, murderer, and especially like a teacher who's supposed to see the best in kids. He probably came into her class and she was like, oh, hey, what's up, not knowing the crazy shit that was about to happen.
She was so young.
How old was she?
24.
That's insane. That's really crazy.
I don't know, like this really, like,
stories like this, like, lets me further know that the 90s to 2010 was just like, it's almost like the best era to be in school, because it's like we got to hear about all the crazy stuff that happened in the 80s and the 70s. Like, oh, I'm glad I wasn't there. And we basically just were kids, but then we got to see the cool, like, introduction of like social media and all of this stuff. It was almost like we started seeing the world go insane. But at the time it was fun, because it's like, right, Instagram is just pictures, MySpace is just friends. And then, it kind of like turned into something that was usable for us as adults. But I can't imagine dealing with trying to go viral or social media followers and all this stuff in school. So just social media and how technology has advanced makes me so glad I wasn't in school. But then between like the school shootings and how like elementary school kids know about like shooting drills instead of, we've had fire drills and earthquake drills.
Right.
But now there's like, literally like active shooter drills. Teachers are like packing now. There's like bulletproof parts. There's pedophiles. There's
tons of videos of students like attacking teachers too.
It's
you know,
insane.
just like fighting teachers. I've
Well,
seen
that been happening.
videos. Well, I've seen videos. Yeah, but I mean, I guess with the school you went to, maybe, you know.
Well,
but,
I mean,
but,
I just think there wasn't camera phones to show.
you know, like at the schools I went to school in Compton, and nobody, I mean, we talked back to the teacher or whatever, we got mad, but nobody really put their hands on the teachers, and the teachers didn't put hands on
It was
us.
always
They just
PE
had
teachers.
smart mouth. They had a smart mouth.
PE teachers were always the ones that was fighting the kids.
And so it's like now you hear about teachers getting their legs broken, getting
Damn.
knocked out.
Legs
Killed. Like,
I didn't hear about the legs.
yeah. And
very
it's just,
scary.
it's unfortunate that, you know, the mental health system is not really doing, I guess, all that it can to shift this. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's, you know, things were happening crazy before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right. And then you would think like, okay, that happened. The pandemic happened. Now people are going back. And it seems like it just
they lost their mind.
there's an uptick in just these type of situations. And I'm really sad for her, for the family, for all involved, for the other students,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and even I don't know anything about the kids' parents, but they got to be horrified if they're not like demented themselves.
I think that homeschooling is going to have a huge, like, rising pretty soon because
For sure.
it's like I get nervous in public areas because it's just like, okay, this is the one part in my one moment in my life I'm just around whoever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, usually you know exactly who you're around, you choose where you are, but when you're on public transportation or at like a giant concert or something, it's just like, oh, I'm with whoever. You know, there's no filter.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that you guys have in common is why you're there. It's like,
Right.
you know, public transportation, you guys are all have somewhere to go. Concert, you guys all somewhat like this person.
Mm-hmm.
So at least everyone around you is like, you're like, okay, at least they want something to happen. School is some place that you're kind of forced to go, and you're basically sending the most important person in your life there with just
With
whoever.
no protection.
Whoever. It doesn't matter. There could be kids there who are just barely keeping it together. There are kids there who are getting abused at home, who want to take it out on somebody else. There's just so many factors, and people are just trying to make sure that their perfect little home is good, not knowing you're unleashing this person or this child to be around who God knows what, and God knows what these people gone through, what's in their head. So it's almost like the most dangerous place in America right now is
Really? For real?
is a school, because these kids have all these environments and people around them that could be doing all types of stuff to them. You could be sending your kid to be sitting next to a mass murderer.
You could.
Without even knowing it.
And when I was a therapist working with the sex offenders, all of my kids were in school, and pretty much all of their victims were either schoolmates or family at home. But
That's crazy.
there was definitely several situations where I had to do therapy with kids that had committed their sexual offenses at school.
And they don't have to tell anybody this, right, at school?
Right.
So
Well, no, if you don't know about it, you know, but if the victim speaks up, then
no, I'm saying like
you
before
know.
there's a victim. Like you could literally be in a
Right.
classroom with a kid who's leaving school, going to therapy to talk about all the sexual assaults, all the physical assaults that they've been going through, and you're just like to your child, that's Tommy.
Yeah, exactly. And so
Yeah, I'm
it's
good.
it's pretty scary nowadays
Absolutely not.
to think about, you know, the school atmosphere. And when we were younger, you know, usually the schools that had metal detectors were in the hood, and those were the only schools that had metal detectors
Right.
were the ones in the hood. But now it's
Everybody.
like every school needs that, and maybe if they did have that in place, they could have caught this kid with
Yeah.
his knife. You know, now some people, if they're determined to do what they're going to do, they're going to do it no matter what, you know, but if they could have intercepted this knife, you know, ahead of time, it would have made it more difficult. And at 14,
sure.
I mean, you have critical thinking skills, but they're not fully developed, you know? So there's just certain things that could have prevented this from happening, you know, and given this woman a better chance at living a full life. So.
Even if there just was a system of metal detectors, and like obviously there's systems to keep you from bringing weapons in everywhere, but people just find out ways to sneak them in. If you're a kid and there's a system to do that, that might just keep you from I can't bring this to school because I'll get caught. But if you're just like, hey, I can bring anything to school.
Our society is reactive. It's not proactive.
Right.
So it's like, okay, something happens. Now we gotta figure it out. Oh, we got cameras just in case something happens, but we're not gonna catch it in the moment because there's nobody monitoring. We're gonna catch it after it happens, which there needs to be a shift.
I feel that. Well, speaking of shift, let's shift to some good news.
All right.
We going into on a good note.
On a better note?
On a better note. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
On a better note. You ever had a Roomba?
Mm-hmm.
The Roombas, the little automatic vacuum.
I like watching the videos of like the dogs and cats like
sitting
riding on it.
Well, get ready for an underwater version.
Oh.
There's a new robot called the Algaray that acts like a Roomba but cleans the ocean of foul-smelling seaweed. So it's literally just like a little manta ray going around cleaning the ocean. Why?
Like, do we really need that?
It's kind of cool, but it's working to remove carbon from the ocean and stop the spread of foul-smelling sargassum seaweed, like the seaweed blob that
like
washed
sargasm,
up.
like orgasm, sargasm.
It's not spelled the same. Sargassum. It has 2 S's. Sargassum.
Oh.
Because I guess seaweed blobs are washing up on shores, Florida, and they smell really nasty. So we're throwing a little robot in there, a little Wall-E. He's cleaning up the.
So it cleans the
ocean.
seaweed.
It cleans the foul-smelling seaweed.
Oh, there's a lot of seaweed on Florida.
I didn't know we needed this, but that's kind of cool, I guess.
I started following this page that has these huge machines that capture debris and trash in the ocean. And
those are cool.
Isn't it? It's so cool. It gets like tons and tons of trash, and then they use those big bulldozers or big trucks to fill it up and then take it away. I don't know where they go, maybe a landfill or something.
Apparently there's a piece, like a land of trash that's bigger than Texas. And when that stat happened, that was like 10 years ago, so I'm sure it's way bigger now, but it's just floating. So I guess like at some point we just take trash and we're just like, yeet, in a certain part of the ocean.
Right.
Which honestly,
in the ocean though?
I don't mind.
In the ocean?
If it's just like in a corner
there's wildlife in the ocean.
If it's just in some corner of the Gulf, I'm not ever gonna see it.
I think it should be buried.
That's worse. That's where we are.
No, buried underground?
Yeah, we're on land.
Yeah, but I don't think it should go into. Cause we like to go into the ocean. So why would we want waste and debris?
I'm just saying if it had to go somewhere.
It's waste as well.
It had to go somewhere. I mean,
if it had to go somewhere, I would hope it would be buried and then disintegrate somehow.
Well, space is my number one.
Right.
Is my number one choice.
Yes,
throw it into space.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It might get stuck in our.
It will.
Our
you know how much trash
field?
is in our orbit? It's crazy. Space trash. I just did a little video on that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. I mean, my first thought when I read this was like, why don't they do this little machine for trash? They have way more advanced stuff, like you were talking about, for the actual trash. But a little Wall-E. I think there's gonna be a Pixar movie about this little guy.
It looks really
cute.
cool. Can I see?
Yeah. It's very cute little robot. Oh. All right. Well, that got me in a better mood.
Yeah, it did.
So this has been another episode of Grizzly Tales.
Grizzly.
I've been Patrick Cloud.
I'm Persephanii.
We'll see you in the next terrible, terrible story.
Yep.